Hello, and welcome to this next video. Today I wanted to speak to you about creativity and why I think scheduling your creativity is massively going to help you if you feel, oh, I never know, when creativity strikes or when my genius hits me and it's all a bit haphazard when you get your great ideas. And because we all know, that yes, we do get amazing ideas at all sorts of weird times of the day, be it under the shower or when you take a walk or before you go to bed or, when you're cooking or when you're doing something which is not your creative work period, right? And it does happen, of course, because at those moments, usually, we're not as focused on, task focus as in other periods of the day. And it's much easier for, the way our brain works to bring those what we need to be creative to bring that online. I mean, I would argue we're always creative, but if you're very task focused and very, analytic maybe, and what else do we need? The kind of sequential and vertical kind of thinking we do to get stuff done. So if that is less in use, because we are just mildly occupied by something like cooking or, like I said, walking, or puzzling or whatever it is, then it's much easier that we actually can, our brain actually starts to maybe work on the problems or connect different ideas and different things that we have running through our head, and we get these amazing insights and creative, bursts that we like because we're like, oh, we just have an amazing idea. And that's great if that happens to you. And if you can, maybe then you capture an idea or something. The problem, of course, arises when this is the only way how you know how you operate, and if you feel like otherwise you can't produce creative work. So that's why I wanted to encourage you, if you are, if creative work, which I guess for all of us, it's some way or another, it's part of what we do, but for some of you it might be more of what you do than for others, to pick choose a time of the day, like really schedule into your work day as with all the other tasks that you do. Just dedicate a certain time, if you can, the same time of the day, every day, and ideally, the same setting. If, especially if you work in a studio or something, if you maybe only use your laptop for your work, then you could say, okay, I like actually to work in different settings, because I like the different environments. But I would guess you have like certain criteria which need to be the same, like it has to be quiet, or there need to be people, there needs to be, the room needs to be a certain temperature, it needs to be outside, or whatever it is. But like I said, you pick a time and a certain setting which is the same, because then that way producing creative work isn't really any different than any other type of, focused work. If you do your accounts, or, have to write a couple of emails, or if you, I don't know, because I'm thinking, now I very quickly in my own life come to creative bits where, I need to write something, or I need to think about how I do something, or how I can solve something. I'm also thinking, if you like your creative work, something like painting, I guess a lot of the time painting is what you do. But yes, you have to, arrange, like, am I gonna have my art in an exhibition? Like, can I reach out to these people? Can I collaborate, or whatever it is? So we have different things in a day, but we have to focus on the actual product, if that's what we do. If you just organize for other people, then maybe workday looks a bit different. But this is particular for people, because that's something I've heard again and again, who, for whom, like I said, the creative work is quite central, and who, like I said, sometimes I hear these stories like, oh, I only get creative before I go to bed, or I only get creative, when I go on a walk, or when I have my shower, which, like I said, that's great. But I would argue, like I said, that shouldn't be the only time you get creative, because it also puts a lot of pressure on you, because that means you can't really rely on when you get creative and if you get your work done, for one thing. And like I said, it can also really mess up the rest of your day and the rest of your schedule. And of course, then, the argument often goes like, yeah, but if I schedule it, then I'm not going to be creative. I'm not creative at all, and I don't get any ideas. Then I would say you have to have a look generally, and like, do you have what some people would call a creative block? Is there something where you then have like or in other words, it could be called like a cognitive inhibition, where, your inner critic is like, oh, but this is not good, I can't do this. Or I don't want to regulate this is not how I function or whatever, which is, all this inner chatter. And if that's the case, then of course you can do something around that and make sure that that doesn't happen, because that for me is the only reason why having a schedule shouldn't work. And for some people, it works really well to maybe start with a couple of minutes of meditation or mindfulness practices or something to really, come back and get more connected to their body, and make sure that, all these thoughts that we have running through our heads maybe are not that present or not that, affecting not as much of what's going on for us. Or, you're the type of person who likes some creative dancing or something for a couple of minutes. So let's say you choose to say, okay, for this hour, 3 to 4 every day, or 10 to 11, or whatever it is for you, I wanted to focus on my creative work, but you find it difficult to get into the right mindset. And I would suggest, like, for the first 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, however many you feel you need, just do some of these practices that can really help you to, leave all this judging and rational thinking and the more, like I said, vertical kind of thinking outside, and you can really focus on the more, flowy, creative, associative kind of thinking, more the lateral kind of thinking, and get yourself in the right headspace. And like I said, there are different practices on how we can do that. And if you feel like that's a major issue for you, do let me know, because I didn't want to delve too deeply into that. But like I said, do start maybe with something like a meditation or like journaling, or, moving your body, listening to some music. And generally, I find that that's a good way anyway. If you maybe start, you feel like if you're not inspired, you could just start with, consuming some thing of a master. It doesn't even have to be a master, but someone who inspires you. Like, look at some paintings of people you like, or listen to music that you like, or read something inspiring or something, and that usually already gets them thinking more like, oh, and how does that relate to what I'm working on? And then of course, as always, once you've done that, you just start with something. You write one word, or like you choose one color, or you pick one note, and you just start playing with it and see where it goes. And you have to, of course, find the balance between then how much do you just leave yourself free time to just explore and play around and all these good things, or what about deadlines? Do you have to finish your work by a certain time, and how much do you need to kind of also be focused during the process? Usually, when we're creative, we're not ever doing one way of thinking and then we go back to the focused thinking afterwards. Usually I find it's a mix, because even if you work on a big project or something, and you play around, but I'm just thinking, let's imagine you painting a big room or something, and you just don't know yet how exactly it's going to be, and yet there will be bits of it where you're like, okay, and today I need to finish this wall, because otherwise, I'm not, this is going to take me 3 years, and I don't have 3 years to do that. And then you will focus on that one wall. And so there's kind of an interplay between, what some people would call the left and the right brain thinking. And what is so beautiful about scheduling also, of course, is then you can rely on producing a certain amount of work every week. So instead of, kind of trying to capture your ideas when they strike, when they hit you, imagine even if we would just pick 1 hour, 5 days a week, that's 5 hours of focused work, or as good as you can, where you work towards your creative projects. And of course, you will have days where things are not going that well. And you have other days where they will be going well. Either way, at the end of the week, it's 5 hours focused work, or like I said, as good as you can, towards that thing. And imagine over like a year, time of the year, that's going to add up to quite a lot of hours where you produce creative work. And that just means the sheer amount of work is going to be quite a lot. So, you just know you will produce a lot, and you don't have to worry about, oh, am I going to produce it enough? Because it's just there in your schedule. You will produce it. If you want or not, it's going to happen. So that's one benefit of scheduling is literally that. Like, there will be more. And it's can be like, it can really ease out if you have any pressure around producing the work. It's going to happen. And also, of course, then it's going to train your system and your brain more and more, if you do it regularly, to get creative around in this hour. So when you've never done it before, you might have to, like I said, really maybe start slowly and ease yourself into the right mindset and just really see, what do I need, what kind of place do I need to be in, what environment do I need, what kind of, what's going on in my head, is that supporting me, or am I just, kind of closing in and closing down and not letting any ideas come through. And then just ease out. And the more you do it, like with any habit that you're building, it's gonna get easier and easier over time. And it becomes more normal for you to get into that mindset. And I bet with you, you're possibly going to look forward, because usually these kind of things are activities we look forward to, to just like, okay, let's play, let's see what happens today, and let's see where this is going. And like I said, with the creativity that still comes in other times of the day, I would encourage you to see that you maybe really just capture. I'm having a flickering light. That's interesting. that you capture it. I'm feeling a bit of disco here or something. Sorry about that. I don't think I can switch that off now. What did I want to say? That that you maybe can capture your ideas without getting lost into following them up, and that you can kind of bring them into your creative work. Oh my God, why is this going to stop? Well, we'll see. Sorry. For example, why are you creative, like I said, during a walk, especially also before you go to bed? It's because your vertical thinking and, the more, like I said, the analytical side of yourself and the sequential thinking, it's quieting down. Like your inner critic is often less active because, especially when you're tired, you just don't judge so harshly what you do. And then you think, oh my God, I'm having these amazing ideas, and if I don't follow up with them now, they're not going to come back. But actually, it's possibly just because you haven't been judging your ideas so hard, I would argue. To let me know that's not true. Because I know, of course, people have different times on when they get creative and different body clocks. And like I said, if you instead focus a lot on doing most of your work, maybe not all, but most of your work during your creative time, and just bringing these ideas as ideas into it, but then working on them during that time, that actually they're equally or even better. And it's just like your perception, and that your perception maybe is like, oh, when when the creativity just comes, it's much better than when I focus on it. But at least from my experience or what I've seen around me, or what I hear from other people, it is often just that you think it's better, but it's not actually. And that, like I said, you can actually do amazing things when it is scheduled. And that's what I've heard from professional artists as well, that they really like to do that, to just give themselves this kind of, container of where they do their work. And I just, with this video, like I said, I wanted to encourage you to try it out and see how it goes for you. Do let me know. Like if you disagree, or if you feel like, no, it doesn't work for me, just let me know. If you don't want to leave it in the comments, you can always send me a direct message, because of course I just always share what I know from myself or from others that's helpful. Usually I also always do some research before I share something with you, to be really sure that I'm not just making this up, but it's actually true. But if you have a different experience, of course I want to know, because I think that's how we can learn from each other, if we share what we have learned. So I'll leave you with that, and encourage you, if you don't already do it, for the next week, just set the specific time and setting aside where you do your creative work, and let me know how it's going. With that, I leave you, and I wish you an awesome weekend, and until soon, bye.